My name is Carolyn O'Neill, and I'm a hobby beekeeper with my bees in New Canton, Virginia, a beautiful, tiny town in central Virginia. Welcome to Beekeeping Today podcast.
Welcome to Beekeeping Today podcast, your source for beekeeping news, information, and entertainment. I'm Jeff Ott.
And I'm Kim Flottam.
Hey, Jeff and Kim. Today's sponsor is Global Patties. They're a family-operated business that manufactures protein supplement patties for honeybees. It's a good time to think about honeybee nutrition. Feeding your hives protein supplement patties will ensure that they produce strong and healthy colonies by increasing brood production and overall honey flow. Now is a great time to consider what type of patty is right for your area and your honeybees. Global offers a variety of standard patties as well as custom patties to meet your needs. No matter where you are, Global is ready to serve you out of their manufacturing plants in Airdrie, Alberta, and in Butte, Montana, or from distribution depots across the continent. Visit them today at www.globalpatties.com.
Thank you, Sherry, and a quick shout out to all of our sponsors whose support allows us to bring you this podcast each week without resorting to a fee-based subscription. We don't want that, and we know you don't either. Be sure to check out all of our content on our website. There you can read up on all our guests, read our blog on the various aspects and observations about beekeeping, search for, download, and listen to over 200 past episodes, read episode transcripts, leave comments and feedback on each show, and check on podcast specials from our sponsors. You can find it all at www.beekeepingtodaypodcast.com. Thank you, Carolyn, for that great opening. Folks, you too can help us open the podcast by recording yourself just like Carolyn did and sending it to us at questions@Beekeeping Today Podcast. Make sure to include your name, your town, and how many bees you keep. Be creative and have some fun with it. On today's episode, we chat with the president and the board chair of the Eastern Apicultural Society, Mary Duane and Eloise, or Lou, Naylor. EAS has been the model regional beekeeping organization for many years, both in their summer conference and their Master Beekeeper certification. EAS Master Beekeepers are recognized worldwide for their skill and knowledge of bees and beekeeping. Their summer conferences are educational and entertaining, not to mention great social gatherings. So this is a show you'll want to hear. Speaking of summer, what are your plans for your honey harvest this year? If you're tired of the stink of fume boards, then you should try Fisher's Bee Quick. This week, receive a 15% discount on Amazon by using the promo code Beekeeping at checkout. Okay, I see Kim is coming in from the bee yard and the spring inspections. So let's get ready for our chat with Mary and Lou. But first, a quick word from our sponsors.
This episode is sponsored in part by Blue Sky Bee Supply. Check out blueskybeesupply.com for the best selection of honey containers, caps, lids, and customized honey labels. Enter coupon code PODCAST and receive 10% off an order of honey containers, caps, lids, or customized honey labels. Offer ends December 31st, 2023. Some exclusions apply. Hey, beekeepers! Many times during the year, honeybees encounter scarcity of floral sources. As good beekeepers, we feed our bees artificial diets of protein and carbohydrates to keep them going during those stressful times. What is missing, though, are key components: the good microbes necessary for a bee to digest the food and convert it into metabolic energy. Only Super DFM honeybee by strong microbials can provide the necessary microbes to optimally convert the artificial diet into energy necessary for improving longevity, reproduction, immunity, and much more. Super DFM Honeybee is an all-natural probiotic supplement for your honeybees. Find it at strongmicrobials.com or at fine bee supply stores everywhere.
And while you're at the Strong Microbial site, make sure you click on and subscribe to The Hive, the regular newsletter full of interesting beekeeping facts and product updates. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Sitting across the virtual Zoom table right now are two representatives from the Eastern Apicultural Society. We have Mary Duane and Eloise, or Lou, Naylor. Welcome, ladies, to the podcast. Look forward to having you on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Well, Mary, we know that you're the president of EAS this year, and my experience with being president is that you're pretty much in charge of this meeting coming up this summer, correct?
Yeah, that seems to turn out that way. Yes, indeed.
Lou, what's your role this year?
I am chairman of EAS.
You're the chairman. Okay. Well, we have the two people of power here. Well, I'm looking forward to getting to EAS this year. I've missed a couple, been kind of stuck at home, no traveling and all of that. So we're looking forward to making it to Massachusetts this summer. And what we have you here today is to tell everybody else why they should be there too. First off, give us a little background of how you got to where you are today, and then we'll talk about the meeting coming up.
I got involved in beekeeping in 1999 and was thoroughly enjoying it. And then per chance, a gentleman named Gus Skamowitz was a member of EAS. And he mentioned to me one day, "Did you go to the conference last week?" I said, "What conference?" He said, "The one that was in 2001 in Cape Cod, Massachusetts." I never knew about EAS in 2001, and I missed the conference in my own state. The following year, I attended EAS. I met Kim Flodham and other members of EAS, and I was hooked. From that point on, I've been to over 20 EASs. I find it a real valuable use of my time, my vacation time. It's a true vacation.
I started beekeeping in 2007. I had a man move in next door to me that was in his 80s at that time and had kept bees for many years. And I asked him if he would be my mentor, and he agreed. And it was not, and I'm not sure the year of this conference, but it was Boone, North Carolina, was when I first heard of EAS. And I took myself down there and loved it. And the following year started volunteering in small ways and just kept going every year and volunteering however I could. And here I am today. And I recommend it.
The journey the bees take you on is wonderful.
So true, so true.
So this year in Amherst, Mass, you're going to meet at the university there?
Yes, we have. That's our land grant college in the state of Massachusetts, UMass Amherst. It's just a lovely location in the Pioneer Valley, and it has all the facilities to accommodate the beekeepers. We're going to have the state apiary, MDAR, our Massachusetts Department of Agriculture, is on campus, on a side portion of the campus. And they're involved helping us. And we're going to move bees right onto the main campus itself. And the facilities are terrific. There's dorms. There's a beautiful hotel in the conference center. Great food. We know that beekeepers love to eat. And UMass has been ranked #1 by the Princeton Review for the best food in college campuses. So we're planning for a good time to welcome all the people to us.
Well, it sounds good. It sounds like you've got a good start anyway. If you're listening and you're not familiar with EAS, it has a pretty typical week planned out. They're similar every year, of course, different people, but you're having a short course this year?
July 31st, which is a Monday, and August 1st, which is a Tuesday, that will be our short course, which is more focused for the beginners. But you can certainly be an experienced person. I always learn something when I take the short course. That's Monday and Tuesday. And then the main conference itself opens up on Wednesday and goes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So August 2nd, 3rd, 4th. That's the main conference. A lot of folks are more experienced beekeepers will come in for the conference portion on those days. And we'll have keynote speakers on Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and Friday morning. In the afternoon, we'll have breakout activities, field trips, workshops. And we tell folks, come for a day, come for the short course, come for the conference, and then you'll get sucked in and you'll say, I want to go for the whole week. And that's what I usually plan on doing, is for the whole week.
It's attractive every year. We probably should give some of these folks listening a little bit of background on EAS. Where and when did it start and all of those things?
We're coming up on 50 years soon of EAS. It started at Cornell, as far as I know. I know 20 years ago we were in Ithaca, which is where we were last year. EAS is the largest non-commercial beekeeping organization in the U.S. We have over 2,400 active individual memberships. The conference every year draws anywhere from 300 to 800 people. We had 300 when we were in Kentucky a few years ago during COVID. 2020, we had to cancel. 2021, we held it in Kentucky, and we had close to 300 then. And it was a smaller conference than usual, but it was a good one. We are hoping for a big one this year.
We certainly are. EAS was started in 1955. So this is quite the 98th version of, 97 if you could consider the COVID year version of EAS.
97, that's a good history to fall back on for sure. You meet once a year. Basically, as I understand it, you start the week with the short course, and you just explained that, how that works, and then you go into the main conference, and that's mostly speakers in the morning and workshops and other activities in the afternoon. But who are your speakers going to be this year?
We have a large list of speakers. Starting us off on Wednesday are going to be Dr. Tammy Horn-Potter. The theme for EAS in Massachusetts is past, present, and beyond, BEEYOND. So we're starting We're starting Wednesday with Dr. Tammy Horn-Potter to talk about the history of beekeeping, because who knows it better than Tammy. Then on Thursday, we're going to have Judy Woo-Smart. And then on Friday, Dr. Samuel Ramsey. Those are our key speakers. And after our key speakers on any given day, we're going to have some of the award winners for EAS research grants will take place after that. And then, as you said, in the afternoon, we'll have more hands-on breakout sessions along the way. We also have coming this year, Dr. Thomas Seeley will be coming and doing beelining in the one afternoon and talking. Kirk Webster from Vermont is coming. Bob Binney is coming. And we have a whole list of people coming. We'll get you the website to look up all the names of the confirmed folks.
We'll make sure that the website for the conference and for EAS is listed in the show notes of the podcast.
Well, one question right now, can I register? So I make sure I have a place there.
Not yet. We haven't opened registration yet. We're still working on the final details of meals, but certainly you could join now. And that is the best way to be ready for the conference to open is activate your membership if you haven't one already.
Well, I'm a life member, so I'll take a pass on joining that again. But I've been a life member for, a bunch of years, I guess.
What a bargain.
And beekeepers are frugal, right? Beekeepers are frugal. So getting the life bargain, I did life membership as well after the first year, and it's been such a bargain.
Yep, it was.
Do you have to reside in any state specific to be a member of EAS?
No, you can come from New Zealand, Australia, where we do have people come from. Anywhere can be a member. However, we have member states that go from the East Coast all the way over to Mississippi River and Canadian provinces, all the way down into Florida. And people come from the islands. People can come from anywhere.
You really do meet people all over the place.
The people from the states, the state members, or the members' states, I guess I should say, each have a director on the board of directors of your organization. And you meet, I'm going to say, 3 times a year? Is that still how often the board of directors meet?
Typically 4 times a year now.
4, okay. That's good. Well, I always look forward to the directors' meetings because when I was part of EAS, we always had a directors' meeting during the conference, which just was, I had enough going on without a directors' meeting during the conference. So I can register for your meeting. There are dorms and a hotel on campus that I can stay at.
Correct.
Getting that information, as soon as registration is open, I imagine your dorm application will be with that. But how do I get to the hotel?
Well, actually, UMass Amherst, that hotel is in the conference center, and that hotel is booking now. You can call them up or go on the UMass campus hotel website, and you can book a hotel room right now. We're doing it independent of the conference that way. So that's open right now for you folks. And then the dorms will be registering at the time that you register for the conference. And we kind of have a cool setup on dorms this year. We have suites. They're giving us air-conditioned suites. Some people listening might laugh who went to the Cape Cod conference in Massachusetts in 2001. There was no air conditioning, and Massachusetts has heard that over and over for the last 20 some odd years. These rooms are air conditioned, and they are a suite of rooms. So when you go for a dorm, you are in a suite. Each suite has 4 individual bedrooms, and those individual bedrooms are locked. Those bedrooms share 2 bathrooms. And in that suite, there is their kitchen facilities, a little couch, a little recreation area in the suite itself. So we think the accommodations in the dorms are excellent, and the hotel accommodations in UMass are outstanding for any hotel.
I know the air conditioning story. When we did EAS in Worcester a lot of years ago, they didn't have air conditioning, but all of the stores in Worcester sold fans like you wouldn't believe. So, yes, air conditioning is mandatory, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
In Massachusetts, it's going to be.
Kim, was that Worcester, Massachusetts, or Worcester, Ohio?
Worcester, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Just down the road.
Yeah.
Jim, too, and I put together one year and neglected to check on air conditioning, so I learned my lesson fast. What kind of things? So in the afternoon, you don't have speakers per se. You have got projects and demonstrations and things like that. What kinds of things go on in the afternoon then?
No, we do have speakers in the afternoon doing 50-minute presentations on maybe a little bit of their research. So each speaker that comes, we ask them, if at all possible, to do 3 presentations. It could be a hands-on presentation, or it could be a talk on collecting water. Tom Seeley is going to be talking about collecting water in honeybees, and that's an individual session. So each of the speakers will be pretty much doing an afternoon session, which is, we call them breakouts. There's a small little section of people in there. And the biggest problem at EAS is always going to be there's 3 or 4 things going on at the same time. You got to choose between the 3. And that's the worst part. You're in the hallway deciding, do I hear this outstanding person or this outstanding person?
The other half of that is it raining? And
I don't know who's in charge of weather. We haven't decided. I think we'll give that to Lou. Lou's in charge of weather.
Yeah, I've been in charge of that before.
Because we had some weather issues at Ithaca, so that was a problem.
So do you register for a session while you register for the conference, or is that on the day of the start of the conference? You just choose whichever session you want to attend?
There are a few sessions that we ask for pre-registration, such as microscopy, some of the queen rearing classes, just so that we have enough supplies for everyone and seats. So also, we've had it with candle making and some of the other things like that. But for the most part, you do not need to register. In the beginning short course, you don't have to stay in the beginner's track. There's a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. You can go between the 3 of those and hear whoever you want to hear, whatever you're interested in. Every day we will have an apiary track also, where people can go out into the bee yard with Don Hopkins and Jen Keller and have hands-on experiences in the apiary.
That's where I learned to mark queens, out in the apiary with Don Hopkins. It was wonderful.
I think Don's been doing that job for 100 years. He's been out there every year forever, I think. But he's really good. Excellent teacher. One of the things I heard, if you're in Amherst and you're just down the road from Greenfield, I'm hoping LL is going to take a visit. Is that right?
Well, yeah, Dr. Langstroth himself has agreed to come to the conference. We're going to start off on Wednesday night's social supper is going to be with Langstroth. And then Langstroth is going to tell us and compare beekeeping in his time to a beekeeper in the present. They're going to go back and forth after that dinner for our little social event on that. But I would encourage people to take the 15-minute drive to see the site where Langstroth was in residence at this parsonage, and he discovered bee space while he was there, and he wrote Hive and the Honeybee. It's cool to walk in the same steps that Langstroth walked on. But yes, he will be at the conference.
Yes, it is. I was privileged to give a talk in his church a few years ago. So I'm very familiar with it, but I've got some things I want to toss at Langstroth, so I'm definitely going to have to be there and see if I can find out some more things about him.
I believe, I'm not locked in stone, but I believe Dan Conlon, who's a distinguished beekeeper with the Russian program who lives right nearby, lives in Amherst, who's on the planning committee. I believe he will be going back and forth with Langstroth on traditional ways of keeping bees and so forth.
We had Dan here just a little while ago talking about the Russian bee program, so real familiar with Dan. Well, then I went to talks in the morning. I went to some workshops in the afternoon. What goes on in the evening? Anything?
There's a lot of fun that goes on in the evenings. So Wednesday night, we typically have a barbecue and Bee Olympics. And Bee Olympics has maybe 4 or 5 different events, such as lighting the smoker and keeping it lit the longest, bringing pollen to your hive, bringing water to your hive, putting the frame together fastest with only a hive tool, things like that. Being able to pick out the queen, which is mostly a drone that's been marked.
Paul Kelly from Canada is coming down to the conference to be one of our speakers, and he's helping to organize it. I'm sure he's coming up with devious tasks, such as Lou was mentioning here. There'll be ribbons and there'll be a trophy. We have the Massachusetts people that we've challenged to win this contest.
Oh, really? Are they practicing ahead of time?
Rumor has it they are practicing spitting drones. That's the rumor.
Spitting drones? S-P-I-T-T-I-N-G. Spitting drones.
Yes.
That took place up in Canada.
Well, there you go.
And then Thursday night is our live auction. We have a banquet and then a live auction, and that is usually very lively. We have auctions daily, also during the week, and we have a virtual auction. You can participate in whether or not you come to the conference. And Friday night is our more formal banquet. If you can imagine beekeepers being formal. Best jeans. And at that time, we'll be presenting awards to the Hambleton, the Dival Bliss, and the Morris Award winner.
Yeah, while Kim is sorting through his notes, we'll take this quick break and we'll be right back.
We're thinking spring here at Better Bee. Do you have all the hive bodies and frames you need to super up your hives or expand your apiary? If not, we have you covered with high-quality woodenware made by our sister company, Humble Abodes. Humble uses eastern white pine from the backwoods in Maine to manufacture box joints that are guaranteed to fit together tightly and frame parts that are easily assembled. Give us a call to learn more about any of our products or to ask a beekeeping question. We've got you covered. Shop for wooden boxes and frames at betterbee.com/wood.
Well, you've got some awards you've just mentioned. Can you tell me a little bit about them? You mentioned Divalbus and Hamilton and Morris. Why are those important?
The first one is the James L. Hambleton Memorial Award. And James graduated from Ohio State University in 1917 when he specializes in beekeeping and entomology. The award was established by the Eastern Apicultural Society of North America to recognize research excellence in apiculture. The Roger Morse Award, Roger A. Morse. Nominations are welcome from any person in the field of apiculture, and self-nominations are acceptable. Roger Morse Outstanding Teaching, Extension, Service, Regulatory Award, supported by the Anita Weiss Foundation, is given annually to recognize an individual in teaching, extension, and or regulatory activity in the field of apiculture. The Dival Bliss Award is given to people who have influenced the public, reached out to the non-beekeeping public to explain the value of honeybees in our lives. And that is given out at the conference, and no one knows ahead of time until the banquet who's going to win the Dival Bliss Award.
Yeah, that's a big surprise.
It is, and it's quite an honor. Just for fill-in, the Anita Weiss people who support that award, Ed Weiss was a longtime beekeeper from Connecticut. He ran a bee business there, and he was a strong supporter of beekeeping in that state. And he firmly believed that the people that get this award deserve it, and he was more than willing to help sponsor it. So just a little background there.
I just want to add a little trivia. Ed Weiss's book, The Queen and I, was the first book I read on beekeeping, and shortly after I got my first beehive. So that's a good award. It must be. It must be a fantastic award.
And I've seen people who've won that night, tears come to their eyes, and their family. It's just a very distinguished honor to be that award.
Well, I think all three of them are, certainly.
Yes.
So that's the night of the banquet, and that's Friday night. One of the things you have, I know that there's a honey show that goes on during EAS, and if I come there, I'm supposed to bring some of my honey? And do you have the rules posted someplace?
Massachusetts has reserved a gorgeous room in the upper floors of the conference center for the honey show. It's run by Christine Delaney from Massachusetts, and there's numerous categories and quite a bragging rights in order to win it. We have legitimate judges that come on in and assess all quantities of cut combed honey, jarred honey, craft items, beautiful wax products. It's quite the honor to be the champ of the EAS Honey Show. Yeah, big competition. And we encourage everybody to bring their entries. Read the rules. It calls for 3 jars. Don't bring 2. Bring 3 jars if it calls for the rules. Read the rules so we have no discussion on that.
And they're on your webpage, right?
They're on the EAS website, yes.
I'll encourage anyone who's never been to a big regional, big national honey show to make sure you check out the honey on display at the EAS conference, because they put on a phenomenal display of various honeys, and you see all the different colors, all the preparation that goes into doing competition at this level. It's just so much fun to see.
And that'll be open to the public on Thursday to see who the winners are. And then they're given a beautiful engraved silver plate at the award dinner that night.
Oh, how nice. And something to take home.
Yes.
And we also auction off those winners that allow it. So you could go home with a prize-winning jar of honey. We also have a honey exchange. If you don't feel like you want to compete, you can just bring a jar or 2 of your own honey and go home with someone else's to try.
That's fun.
When I was a part of EAS, that's when that got started. You bring your jar in when you first arrive at EAS, probably on Sunday or Monday. You can spend the week looking at everybody's jar there and pick out the one that you want and then be first in line.
And that's a long line, and people line right up to that to get their first selection.
What have we missed about the conference?
The Master Beekeepers.
Oh.
Master Beekeepers.
Tell me how to be a master beekeeper.
And I will tell you, that's how I first heard of EAS as an Ohio beekeeper. It was, well, you need to become an EAS Master Beekeeper. And that's the first exposure. And I assume I'm not outside the norm of many beekeepers. Is the symbol of being an EAS Master Beekeeper is a good status to have, or good certification to have. Tell us about the EAS Master Beekeeper. What does that mean?
I actually happen to be an EAS Master Beekeeper. I challenged myself. You have to have 5 years of beekeeping experience to sit for the examination process. And that examination is only given at the EAS conference. So that's once a year the conference takes place. It's once a year they will give the exam. And there are 4 parts. There's the oral exam where they ask you a bunch of questions and how you would interact with the public, and they assess if you would be a good representative for beekeepers in EAS. There is a field exam. You suit up and you go into a hive with a master beekeeper, and they ask you questions all about read the hive, what's happening in this hive. And they put together some very challenging hives, some with problems. Is it queen right? Is it not? It's quite the challenge to figure out what's going on in that hive. Then there is the lab practical. You go into a lab room, it brings you back to your high school or college biology days of being in a lab situation. There are microscopes set up. You have to look underneath at small hive beetles, various stages of small hive beetles. Bees are dissected and you're looking at their respiratory system. There's a whole bunch of gadgets. Beekeepers, we like our gadgets. What's this gadget for? The year I was doing it, there was a cloak board. What's the cloak board? What's it used for? And then there's the standard written exam. Multiple choice, fill in the blank. So it brings you back once again to your school days, sitting down, see a bunch of adults who haven't taken exams for many years sitting down. And it's a little nitpicky details because they believe, and I agree with them, sometimes the smallest little detail makes the biggest difference in managing your hives. So you have to pass all 4 sections in order to get your Master Beekeeper certification. If you're unsuccessful in one section of it, you can come back and retake that section. So let's say you didn't pass the written portion, but you passed the other 3. So hold on to those 3. You come back and you have 5 years to complete that missing section or sections that you have. You need to complete it within 5 years to earn the certificate of an EAS Master Beekeeper. And you must sign up to take the exam ahead of time. You can't walk into the conference and say, oh, I'm going to sign up for the Master Beekeeper. No, that's not how it works, because they have to plan ahead how many the current Master Beekeepers volunteer their time to be the testers in the exam process. So they need to know ahead of time how many exams to print, how many microscopes to get set up. So it's quite a distinction. On the EAS website, the Master Beekeepers have a whole list of material they recommend you read to prepare for this. You also have to have someone be a mentor to sponsor you and write a letter on your behalf that you are ready for this exam process. So it's a challenge, and it's an accomplishment and a challenge. It's rigorous.
Absolutely. What's the minimum passing score on all the tests?
I think it's 85 now. I was lucky. I think I snuck in when it was 80, but I believe it's 85 now on each section. You can't get by with the 60 like you did in high school. That doesn't cut it.
Why were you looking at me when you said that?
Well, I think you hit the right word there, rigorous. But if you go through all of that and you end up being a master beekeeper, it's something to be incredibly proud of, and it will make you a good addition to your local organization, being a resource, definitely.
So besides the Master Beekeeper program and the honey show and the awards and the presentations, what else is going on at EAS conference?
Well, Massachusetts, we're lucky. We have a young beekeeper named Billy Crawford, who runs New England apiaries, and he has a large-scale honey processing facility, which is about 50 minutes away from the campus. So he's graciously offered to give tours of his facility and how he went from one hive to thousands of hives along the way. So we're going to offer tours for people, and we'll have buses to take them to his facility and back. And then, believe it or not, there will be non-beekeepers at this conference who will come. Their spouses or partners will come, and they may not be interested in honeybees all day long. I find that hard to believe, but that's the case. And those folks, we have Thursday during the conference, we're going to have a field trip out to the Bridge of Flowers, which literally is a bridge covered with flowers. And we have a master gardener who will give a tour of this. It's about, half an hour away from campus. And then after that, this tour will go to historic Deerfield, Massachusetts. So if you want to learn about the history of New England, historic Deerfield is a place to go. So we're excited to offer that to the non-beekeepers or the beekeepers. It's either way, but we think that's planned more for that. And I shouldn't forget, on Thursday, we also have a kids program. We're inviting kids from the neighborhood and different organizations to come on in. And we have a team of 6 very enthusiastic Massachusetts beekeepers that can't wait for the kids to show up. And they'll go through all phases of beekeeping with the kids. And their parents must attend with them, because it's not babysitting, it's educational in nature. And that'll be on Thursday. But this is all on the EAS website.
If I got to attend an EAS conference for a week, I'd need a week off just to catch up on sleep and rest. It's a very full week. What part of the conference have we missed?
We are a society. We are not just a conference where we see people once and that's the end of it. People come back every year. We look forward to seeing each other from all over. And sometimes you keep in touch all year. And I've made friends that have lasted. When you sit down to lunch, I might sit down next to Kim Flottam, not even knowing who he is, and talk to him about beekeeping. And that's part of the wonder of being at EAS. Everybody's welcome. Everybody is made to feel welcome. And one of the parts I like. The other part we haven't talked about is late night Yahtzee. So you come out needing to catch up on your sleep, play some Yahtzee till 1 a.m. and then get up and go to class.
And the sharing of a little bit of mead, but I don't know if we should go into that. Massachusetts has some good mead makers, so we're going to have a little bit of mead to be shared on the side.
Besides the unofficial mead tasting, is there an official mead tasting part of the competition?
Oh, it is indeed. And Massachusetts has an excellent mead maker, the Colony in Tingsboro, Massachusetts, and I hope that Rick will be entering his mead. I know we'll be sampling it in the evenings on the side. I think they drink on college campuses, but I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been on a college campus.
Yeah. Well, with the sweets that are available, I'm sure that there'll be some mead tasting going on.
Louis, one of the things you just mentioned back in the day when I was constantly at EAS meetings was sitting down at lunch at a table full of people I didn't know. And by the time lunch was over, you knew 8 more people. And you do that 5 days in a row for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and you end up knowing a lot of people and being connected to them in a kind of a special way.
Yes, I agree. The first EAS I went to, somebody just said, "Come sit here. There's room at this table." And it was Carol Cottrell. She was the secretary of EAS, eventually. So it's been a great experience for me. I look forward to it every year.
It's not only educational, but it's also a great social event as well. Well, ladies, it's been a wonderful experience having you on the show. I enjoyed learning more about EAS and look forward to one day getting to EAS conference. I think that would be great fun.
Oh, you got to make it, Jeff.
Yeah,
at least once.
Absolutely.
Massachusetts has got room for you.
Excellent.
This will be a good year.
Where's it going to be next year? Where's EAS going to be in 2024?
Maryland. I just went out and looked at University of Michigan Dearborn for the following year.
Really?
Yes, and it's looking good.
That's almost my backyard. That sounds good.
I like that about EAS. You get to travel along the East Coast and up to Canada. That's always an exciting thing when you go to the conference and you figure out where it's going to be the following year.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to learning more about the conference and more about EAS, and encourage other beekeepers to go out to your websites. Links are in the show notes. Those of you that are interested in furthering your education about beekeeping, take a serious look at the EAS Master Beekeeper program. It is really worth the time and energy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, ladies. This was fun.
Thanks. It's always good talking bees.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
So, Kim, you're going to be going to EAS this summer?
We're planning on it. I haven't been for quite a few years between COVID and other things going on in the world. But this year we're looking to coming back. I enjoy the Langstroth trip. Looking forward to that. And, of course, just seeing the 400 people that will be there that I probably know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's, I won't say a party in a wild and crazy time, but it sounds like quite the party and experience for beekeepers along the East Coast and from around the world, it sounds.
You got to kind of take a half step back, and it's not just East Coast. It's the eastern half of the U.S. You will meet people from pretty much every state in the eastern half of the U.S., and then from a lot of other places too, but it's not just East Coast.
It sounds like they have a fantastic show lined up, and encourage any of our listeners who are along eastern half of the United States or will be visiting the East Coast to check out Eastern Apicultural Society Conference in Amherst, Massachusetts.
Yep, definitely.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Before we go, I want to encourage our listeners to rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcast or wherever you download and stream the show. Even better, write a review and let other beekeepers looking for a new podcast know what you like. You can get there directly from our website by clicking on the reviews along the top of any web page. We want to thank our regular episode sponsors, Global Patties, Strong Microbials, and Better Bee for their longtime support of this podcast. Thanks to Blue Sky Bee Supply, Fisher's Bee Quick, and Northern Bee Books for their generous support. Finally, and most importantly, we want to thank you, the Beekeeping Today podcast listener, for joining us on this show. Feel free to leave us questions and comments at Leave a Comment section under each episode on the website. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot, everybody.